I never imagined betrayal would come from within my own family. If you'd asked me a year ago, I would have told you my wife, Lisa, and my brother, Matt, were two of the people I trusted most in this world. That's what made the truth so devastating. It all started on a quiet Sunday afternoon. Lisa was out running errands, and I was at home sorting through some old photos on my computer. I'd recently decided to create a digital album for our parents' upcoming anniversary, so I was gathering pictures from birthdays, holidays, and family trips. As I scrolled through a folder Matt had shared with me months ago, a strange photo caught my eye. At first, it seemed innocent. Lisa and Matt were sitting together on a bench in what looked like a park. But something about their body language was off. Lisa's smile was different, almost too intimate, and Matt's arm was draped around her shoulder in a way that made my stomach tighten. I told myself it was nothing, just a candid shot taken at an odd moment. But when I clicked on the photo to enlarge it, I noticed a second image in the same folder, a close-up selfie of the two of them. Lisa was leaning into Matt, her cheek pressed against his, and the expression on her face wasn't one she ever wore for me anymore. A cold dread settled in my chest. I started combing through the rest of the folder, my heart racing. Most of the photos were harmless group shots of our family, but there were a few more of just Lisa and Matt. They weren't overtly incriminating, but they were enough to raise questions. And then, I found it, a screenshot of a text conversation. It was buried deep in a subfolder, almost as if Matt hadn't meant for me to see it. The messages were short but damning. Lisa, last night was amazing. I wish we didn't have to hide this. Matt, I know. But we can't risk Alex finding out. Not yet. The room seemed to tilt around me as the words sank in. My own brother. My wife. The two people I trusted most, sneaking around behind my back. My hands shook as I stared at the screen. The betrayal was so profound, so incomprehensible, that I didn't know what to feel first, rage, heartbreak, or disbelief. I slammed the laptop shut and paced the room, my mind spinning. How long had this been going on? Did they think I was so blind that I wouldn't notice? When Lisa came home later that afternoon, I could barely look at her. Hey, she said cheerfully, setting a bag of groceries on the counter. How's the photo project going? Fine, I replied, my voice tight. She glanced at me, her brow furrowing. You okay? You seem off. I wanted to confront her right then and there, to shove the evidence in her face and demand an explanation. But I didn't. Not yet. Instead, I forced a strained smile. Just tired. Long day. Lisa didn't push further. She kissed my cheek, oblivious to the storm brewing inside me, and went about her evening as if nothing was wrong. But everything was wrong. And I knew I couldn't let it go. I barely slept that night. Lisa lay next to me, breathing evenly in the dark, completely unaware of the battle raging inside my head. Every time I closed my eyes, the text messages replayed in my mind, over and over. By morning, my anger had hardened into a sharp, clear resolve. I needed answers. I decided to start with Matt. Confronting Lisa felt too volatile, and I wasn't sure I could control myself if she started lying to my face. But Matt. He was my brother. He owed me the truth, and I wasn't going to let him squirm out of it. I waited until the evening, knowing Matt would be at home after work. My stomach churned as I drove to his apartment, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly that my knuckles turned white. When he opened the door, his usual cocky grin faded the moment he saw my expression. Alex, he said, his tone cautious. What's up? I pushed past him, stepping into his living room without waiting for an invitation. Don't play dumb, I snapped, turning to face him. I found the messages. You and Lisa. How long has this been going on? Matt froze, his face draining of color. What are you talking about? Don't insult me, Matt. I shouted, my voice echoing off the walls. I saw the texts, the photos. I know everything. So, stop lying and tell me the truth. He ran a hand through his hair, his eyes darting around the room as if searching for an escape. Finally, he sighed and sank onto the couch, his head in his hands. It started a few months ago, he admitted, his voice barely audible. I didn't mean for it to happen, Alex. I swear. I felt like the floor had been ripped out from under me. A few months? I repeated, my voice trembling with rage. You've been sneaking around with my wife for months, and you didn't mean for it to happen? Are you serious right now? It wasn't planned, Matt insisted, looking up at me with pleading eyes. It just happened. Lisa was upset about something, and we started talking, and one thing led to another. I never wanted to hurt you. Never wanted to hurt me? I scoffed, my hands curling into fists. You've been lying to my face, both of you. How do you think that feels, Matt? You're my brother, for God's sake. I know, he said, his voice breaking. I'm sorry. I am. I screwed up, okay? I didn't know how to stop. His apology felt hollow, meaningless in the face of what he'd done. Did you think I wouldn't find out? I demanded. Or did you just not care? I didn't think it would get this far, he said, his voice weak. I thought. I don't know what I thought. The room fell silent, the weight of his confession hanging between us like a toxic cloud. My mind raced with questions, each one cutting deeper than the last. Does she love you? I asked finally, my voice barely above a whisper. Matt flinched, as if the question physically hurt him. I don't know, he admitted. She never said. We didn't talk about that. I stared at him, my anger boiling over. You've destroyed my marriage, Matt. Do you even realize that? He didn't respond, his silence only fueling my fury. I turned on my heel and stormed out of the apartment, slamming the door behind me. The drive home was a blur, my mind consumed by the betrayal. I'd gone to Matt looking for answers, but all I'd found was more pain. When I got home, Lisa was sitting in the living room, scrolling through her phone. She looked up and smiled when she saw me, but her smile faded when she noticed my expression. What's wrong? She asked, setting her phone down. I stood there, staring at her, the weight of Matt's confession pressing down on me. Part of me wanted to scream at her, to let my rage pour out in a torrent of accusations and anger. But another part of me wanted her to confess, to finally admit what she'd done. You tell me, I said, my voice cold. Lisa's brow furrowed. What do you mean? I said, stepping closer, how long have you been sleeping with my brother? Her face went pale, her eyes widening in shock. Alex, Don't, I interrupted, my voice shaking. Don't you dare try to lie to me. Matt already told me everything. She opened her mouth as if to protest, but then she closed it again, her shoulders slumping in defeat. It wasn't supposed to happen, she said, her voice trembling. I didn't mean for it to. Stop. I shouted, cutting her off. I don't want to hear your excuses. Just tell me the truth. How long? Lisa hesitated, tears streaming down her face. 3 months, she admitted. It's been 3 months. Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. 3 months of lies, of betrayal, of the two people I trusted most stabbing me in the back. I trusted you, I said, my voice breaking. I trusted both of you, and this is how you repay me? I'm sorry, Lisa sobbed. I know I've hurt you, and I'll do anything to make it right. Please, Alex. Don't let this destroy us. I stared at her, my heart torn between anger and heartbreak. You already destroyed us, I said finally, my voice hollow. Without another word, I turned and walked out of the house, leaving her sobs echoing behind me. I didn't go home that night. Instead, I drove aimlessly through the city, my mind a storm of anger, sadness, and disbelief. As if the betrayal of my wife and brother weren't enough, I now realized there was a third participant in this mess, someone I hadn't considered until my phone buzzed with a text message. It was from Rebecca, Matt's girlfriend. "Rebecca, hey Alex, can we talk? It's about Matt. I think something's going on." Rebecca. Of course. How could I have forgotten? Matt had been dating her for over a year, a sweet, kind woman who had become part of our family gatherings. Her message felt like another gut punch, a reminder that this betrayal extended beyond me. For a moment, I debated ignoring her. I wasn't sure I had the strength to deal with another broken heart tonight. But then I thought about the texts, the photos, and the lies. Rebecca deserved to know the truth, just like I did. I pulled over to the side of the road and called her. She picked up almost immediately. "Alex," she said, her voice tense. "Thanks for calling. I don't even know where to start." "I do," I said bluntly. "Rebecca, there's something you need to know about Matt and Lisa." The silence on the other end was deafening. "What do you mean?" she asked finally, her voice trembling. "They've been having an affair," I said, my words heavy with anger and exhaustion. "For 3 months, at least. I just found out today." Rebecca gasped, and I could hear the crack in her voice as she tried to process what I'd just told her. "Are you sure?" "I'm sure," I said. "I saw the messages. I confronted Matt. He admitted it." There was another long pause before she spoke again, her voice now laced with both fury and devastation. "I knew something was wrong," she said. "He's been distant lately, making excuses, saying he's too busy to see me. I thought maybe it was work stress, but... God, Alex, I never imagined this." Her pain mirrored my own, a shared betrayal that cut through both of us. "We can't let them get away with this," she said suddenly, her tone shifting. "They need to face the consequences of what they've done, to both of us." "I agree," I said, my jaw tightening. "But what do you have in mind?" Rebecca hesitated, then took a deep breath. "Matt's been planning a surprise birthday dinner for me next weekend. He invited Lisa, you, and a few friends. He doesn't know that I already know about the dinner, or now, about them." The thought of sitting through a dinner, celebrating the man who had stabbed me in the back made my blood boil, but Rebecca had a plan. "Let's turn the surprise on them," she said, her voice now steely. "We'll let them think everything is normal, and when the time is right, we'll expose them in front of everyone." Her words hung in the air, and for a moment, I hesitated. Did I really want to air this betrayal in front of a room full of people? But then I thought about the lies, the audacity of Matt and Lisa to continue their charade as if nothing was wrong. If they wanted to play dirty, we could play dirtier. "All right," I said finally. "Let's do it." The week leading up to the dinner was unbearable. I avoided Lisa as much as possible, using work as an excuse to stay late and leave early. She tried to talk to me, tried to plead for forgiveness, but I couldn't even look at her without feeling the sting of betrayal all over again. Rebecca and I coordinated carefully, making sure we didn't tip off Matt or Lisa. We decided to confront them after the meal, once everyone was seated and comfortable. It would be impossible for them to escape the spotlight. The night of the dinner, I arrived at the restaurant with a knot in my stomach. The private dining room was elegantly decorated, the table set for 10. Matt greeted me at the door, all smiles, as if he hadn't destroyed my trust just days ago. "Glad you could make it," he said, clapping me on the shoulder. I forced a tight smile. "Wouldn't miss it." Lisa was already seated, her face lighting up when she saw me. I avoided her gaze, taking a seat at the far end of the table. Rebecca arrived a few minutes later, her expression calm and composed despite the turmoil I knew she was feeling. As the dinner progressed, Matt played the perfect host, laughing and joking with everyone as if he didn't have a care in the world. Lisa, too, seemed at ease, chatting with the other guests as if nothing was amiss. It made me sick. Finally, as dessert was being served, Rebecca caught my eye and gave me a subtle nod. This was it. She stood, raising her glass to get everyone's attention. I just want to say thank you to all of you for being here tonight. It means so much to me to celebrate with the people I care about most. Everyone clapped politely, Matt beaming at her from across the table. But before we continue, Rebecca said, her voice turning cold, there's something I need to share. The room fell silent. Matt, she said, her gaze fixed on him. I know about you and Lisa. The color drained from Matt's face, his confident smirk replaced by panic. Lisa's fork clattered onto her plate, her eyes wide with shock. What are you talking about? Matt stammered, his voice unsteady. Rebecca pulled out her phone and held it up, the text messages between Matt and Lisa displayed for everyone to see. This, she said, her voice sharp, is what I'm talking about. You two have been sneaking around behind our backs for months, and we're done pretending we don't know. The room erupted in gasps and murmurs as the other guests pieced together what was happening. Matt looked at me, his face pleading. Alex, come on. This isn't what it looks like. Don't, I snapped, cutting him off. Don't you dare try to lie your way out of this. I trusted you, Matt. I trusted both of you, and you betrayed me. Lisa's face crumpled, tears streaming down her cheeks. Alex, please. Let me explain. Explain what? I shot back. That you've been sleeping with my brother while pretending to be my wife? There's nothing left to explain, Lisa. Rebecca crossed her arms, her gaze icy. I hope it was worth it, because you've lost everything now. Matt and Lisa sat in stunned silence as the room buzzed with whispers and judgmental stares. The people they had fooled for so long now saw them for who they truly were. Rebecca and I stood, leaving them to face the fallout. As we walked out of the restaurant together, a strange sense of relief washed over me. The pain of betrayal hadn't disappeared, but knowing the truth was out in the open made it easier to breathe. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I was finally taking back control of my life. The ride home from the restaurant was strangely quiet. Rebecca and I didn't say much, we didn't need to. What could we say? We just turned the lives of two people we once loved upside down, but they'd brought it on themselves. I dropped her off at her apartment, and before she got out, she turned to me. What now? The question hung in the air. I didn't have a clear answer, but I knew one thing for sure. We move on, I said simply. Rebecca nodded, her lips tightening into a faint, bitter smile. Easier said than done. Yeah, I admitted. But it's all we've got. She gave me a small wave as she stepped out of the car and disappeared into the night. The next few days felt like I was walking through the wreckage of a hurricane. Word about the confrontation spread like wildfire among our friends and family. Everyone had an opinion, and I was bombarded with texts and calls from people either expressing their outrage or asking for details. Even my parents got involved. My mom called me in tears, trying to make sense of what had happened. How could Matt do this to you? She asked, her voice thick with disbelief. To his own brother? I didn't have an answer for her. I don't know, Mom, I said, the exhaustion seeping into my words. But it's done. There's no fixing this. Lisa, for her part, tried relentlessly to reach me. She left voicemail after voicemail, her tone swinging wildly between tearful apologies and desperate pleas for another chance. Alex, please, she begged in one message. I made a mistake, but I love you. We can get through this. Her words rang hollow. Love didn't look like what she and Matt had done. Love didn't betray and destroy. The hardest part was cutting ties with Matt. Despite everything, he was still my brother, and there were moments when I wondered if we could ever repair the damage. But then I'd remember his face at the restaurant, the sheer cowardice of his silence as Rebecca and I exposed the truth, and I knew the answer. I sent him a short text. I don't want to see or hear from you again. You made your choice. Now live with it. His reply came minutes later, a pathetic attempt at reconciliation. Matt, I know I screwed up. I'm sorry, Alex. Please don't shut me out. You're still my brother. I didn't respond. Weeks passed, and slowly, the chaos began to subside. The divorce papers I filed against Lisa were met with little resistance. She knew there was no coming back from this. Rebecca broke up with Matt, and from what I heard, he had moved out of town, presumably to escape the judgment and fallout. As for me, I threw myself into rebuilding my life. Therapy helped, though it was tough at first to untangle the anger, hurt, and confusion. I started spending more time outdoors, hiking the trails I used to love before my life got consumed by work and marriage. I also began reconnecting with old friends, people I'd drifted away from over the years. They reminded me of who I was before everything fell apart, a man who was strong, capable, and more than the sum of his worst experiences. One afternoon, Rebecca called me. We hadn't spoken much since the restaurant, but there was a bond between us now, forged in shared betrayal. I thought you should know, she said. Matt tried to contact me yesterday. What did he say? I asked. Same old stuff, she replied. I'm sorry, I messed up, please forgive me. What did you do? I blocked him, she said simply, a note of finality in her voice. I smiled. Good for you. We talked for a while, sharing updates on our lives and how we were both moving forward. By the end of the call, I realized something. I wasn't alone in this. Rebecca and I had both been deeply hurt, but we were stronger now because of it. Looking back, I never would have believed my life could unravel so completely, or that betrayal could come from the two people closest to me. But as painful as it was, it also forced me to confront truths I'd been avoiding, about my marriage, my relationships, and even myself. Matt and Lisa had made their choices, and I had made mine. I chose to let them go, to rebuild my life on my terms, and to reclaim my peace. I wasn't the same man I was before, but maybe that was a good thing. The betrayal had scarred me, yes, but it had also taught me resilience, strength, and the value of trust, the kind of trust one would never again take for granted. And as I stood on a mountaintop one crisp morning, the world stretching out before me, I felt something I hadn't felt in months, hope. Just when I thought the dust was starting to settle, life threw another curveball. One evening, I was home, flipping through the channels and trying to find something to distract me, when my phone buzzed. It was a text from a friend, Tom. Tom, hey, man. Did you see this? Thought you should know. Attached was a screenshot of a social media post. My stomach dropped as I opened it. It was a photo of Matt and Lisa, sitting together at some cafe. The caption read, "Sometimes life doesn't go as planned, but love always finds a way." Love. That word stabbed me in the gut like a knife. I stared at the photo, my hands shaking. They were smiling, looking every bit like a couple without a care in the world. The audacity of it, parading their relationship so openly after everything they'd done, made my blood boil. I dialed Tom immediately. "Where did you get this?" I demanded. "It just popped up on my feed," he said cautiously. "I thought you should see it." "Thanks," I muttered, ending the call before he could say more. My head spun as I processed the implications. Lisa and Matt weren't just moving on, they were flaunting their relationship, as if their betrayal didn't matter, as if I didn't exist. The next day, the fallout from their post began to spread. Friends and family started reaching out, their messages filled with shock and, in some cases, pity. "Did you see what Matt posted? I can't believe they'd do this to you. Are you okay?" I wasn't okay. The wounds I'd been working so hard to heal felt ripped open again, raw and exposed. To make matters worse, my mom called me that evening, her voice heavy with concern. "Alex, I don't even know what to say," she began. "Your father and I are furious with Matt, but we're also worried. He's still your brother." "Not anymore," I snapped, my anger flaring. "He made his choice. He's not my brother, he's just some guy who stabbed me in the back." "Don't say that," she said, her tone pleading. "He's family. This whole situation is horrible, but cutting him out forever isn't the answer." "Maybe not for you," I replied coldly. "But it is for me." The call ended with more tension than resolution, and I felt more isolated than ever. Even my parents, who should have been on my side completely, were still clinging to some idea of reconciliation. That night, I sat in my living room, the weight of everything pressing down on me. Matt and Lisa's betrayal. Their shameless display of their relationship. The judgment and pity from everyone around me. For the first time since this all began, I felt truly defeated. Moving forward had seemed possible, but now, the weight of the past felt like an anchor, pulling me under. The next morning, as I trudged into work, my exhaustion must have been obvious. Richard, my boss, pulled me aside. "Alex," he said, his tone concerned. "Is everything all right? You've been distracted lately." "I'm fine," I lied, forcing a weak smile. He didn't buy it. "Look, I know you've been going through some personal stuff, but you need to get it together. This team counts on you." His words stung, not because they were harsh, but because they were true. I'd let the drama consume me, and now it was bleeding into every part of my life. I left his office feeling like I was walking a tightrope, one wrong step away from losing everything. That night, I sat down with a notebook, determined to regain control of my life. I wrote down everything I needed to do, focus on work, set boundaries with people who kept dredging up the past, and most importantly, stop letting Matt and Lisa's actions dictate my emotions. Their happiness, or their illusion of it, didn't define me. They could post all the pictures they wanted, play their twisted love story for the world to see, but I wasn't going to let them destroy what little peace I had left. The setback was real, but it wasn't permanent. I wouldn't let it be. I'd spent weeks watching Matt and Lisa flaunt their so-called love, enduring the whispers and pity from friends and family. It was humiliating, infuriating. And the more they paraded their relationship, the more resolute I became. I couldn't let them get away with it. If they wanted the world to see their story, I'd show the world the real version of it. The first step was gathering everything I needed. I went through the photos, texts, and call logs one last time, making sure every piece of evidence was clear and irrefutable. I even compiled the messages Rebecca had sent me after her confrontation with Matt. Her perspective added weight to the story. Next, I set up an anonymous social media account. Using a photo of an empty chair as the profile picture and a vague username like Justice for All, I created a platform where I could reveal the truth. But this wasn't going to be some petty rant. No, this was a carefully constructed exposé. On a quiet Sunday evening, while Matt and Lisa were likely cozied up in their little bubble of deceit, I launched the post. The first image was the selfie I'd found of them together, the one where Lisa's smile was too intimate, and Matt's arm was too familiar. The caption read, "They thought no one would notice. But secrets always come out." The next few slides contained screenshots of their text messages, with damning lines like, "Last night was amazing. I wish we didn't have to hide this. We can't risk Alex finding out. Not yet." I followed with a short, pointed explanation. "My wife, Lisa, and my brother, Matt, have been having an affair for months, deceiving not just me but also Matt's long-term girlfriend, Rebecca. They've lied to everyone around them, all while pretending to be innocent. Here's the proof. The final slide was a collection of photos, of Lisa and me on our wedding day, of family holidays where Matt stood beside me, grinning like a loyal brother. The contrast was stark, deliberate. I ended the post with a single line. This is what betrayal looks like. Decide for yourself who the real villains are. The response was immediate and explosive. Within hours, the post had gone viral in our social circles. Friends, family, co-workers, everyone saw it. Comments flooded in, some expressing shock, others outrage. I can't believe this. Matt and Lisa? How could they do this to Alex? This is disgusting. You deserve so much better. Matt was always such a snake. I'm not even surprised. By the next morning, the fallout had reached its peak. Lisa called me repeatedly, leaving voicemail after voicemail, her voice frantic. Alex, what did you do? Please, take it down. You're ruining our lives. Matt sent a single text. I can't believe you'd stoop this low. This isn't just about you. I didn't respond to either of them. Let them squirm. Let them feel the weight of their actions crashing down on them in public, just as I had privately. The repercussions rippled far and wide. Lisa's employer caught wind of the scandal, and while it didn't cost her job outright, it certainly damaged her professional image. Matt, who had always been the charming favorite in the family, was shunned at gatherings. Our parents were furious, but their anger was directed at him, not me. Matt brought this on himself, my father said when I finally spoke to him about the post. He betrayed you. He betrayed all of us. Even Rebecca called to thank me. It's about time people saw the truth, she said. The revenge wasn't about ruining their lives, it was about exposing the truth. They wanted to build their relationship on lies, thinking no one would dare challenge them. I made sure those lies were dragged into the light for everyone to see. In the weeks that followed, the silence from Matt and Lisa was deafening. No more public posts. No more flaunting their relationship. They had gone quiet, probably realizing there was no way to spin their story into anything but the shameful betrayal it was. And me? I moved forward. I wasn't proud of what I'd done, not entirely. But I didn't regret it either. Sometimes, the only way to heal is to ensure those who hurt you understand the weight of their actions. Matt and Lisa had taken so much from me. But I had taken back my power. And now, finally, I was free.